Hello, you're welcome back to Craft Fashion Media. Today we are going to be making a dress for a 2-year-old baby. I will start by inserting the measurements. I'm going to insert the full length of the dress, which is going to be 19 inches. And I'm going to square a line across to guide me for the width of the dress. And I'm going to make use of 4.5 inch as the shoulder measurement. That is 9 inches divided by 2. That will give me 4.5. And I will make a mark. And I'm going to insert the shoulder slope, which is 1/2 inch. So I'm going to use 2 inches as the depth of the front neckline and 2 inches as the width. Then for the back neckline, I'm going to use 1/2 inch as the width of the back neckline, and I'm going to connect with my ruler. For the half length of the dress, I am going to mark 8 inches and I will square a line across. So for the armhole depth, I am going to use 5.5 and I will make a mark. So for the bust measurement or the chest measurement, I'm going to use 13 inches divided by 2. That will give me 6.5. So I'm going to connect my armhole towards that area. So for the yoke measurement, I'm going to mark from the high point shoulder down to 4 inches and I will make a mark. And I will connect the line across. It's a little bit slanted towards the armhole area, as you can see. For this half length line, I'm going to draw the line out. And this is the half length of the dress, just like the basic bodies. So now I am going to insert the dart measurement. I'm going to be using 2 inches, that is from one nipple to the other. And I will make a mark from the yoke line and take it down to the hemline of the dress. So on this waist circumference, I'm using 13 inches, so divided by 2, that will give me 6.5. But on this hemline, I am going to use 21 inches divided by 2, that is 10.5. I'm going to make a mark. Then I will come up by 3.5 inch to raise the flare, and I'm going to connect with my ruler. So because of the design of this dress, we are going to shift the position of this dart by going inward by 2.5 inch in order to form a nice princess seam. So I'll mark 2.5 inch and I will connect it back to the half length of the dress. So as you can see, I'm erasing the original dart line. Now we have a very nice curve princess seam, and I'm going to connect to the side seam 3.5 inch above the hemline. So from this point, I'm going to come down by 1 inch and make a mark. at this other side, I'm going to come down by 2 inches and I'm going to connect it to form the pocket opening. So now that the pocket opening is formed, I'm going to decide how deep I want it. So on this side, I am going to mark 4 inches, and on this part I will mark 6 inches, and I will connect a line. You can make the line straight or you can still curve it, but when you curve it, just make sure you are going to sew it. But when you leave it straight, you are just going to fold the fabric inside, because it's going to be like an inseam pocket. So now we have the depth of the pocket formed. So now I am going to trace off the back panel. Watch carefully how I am moving. So the back panel is without pockets. You only have the yoke and the other panels. The half length is not included on both the front and back panel. I just added the half length to guide me while we work on the pattern. So we are going to have only the yoke and the other parts of the pattern cut out. So I'm going to trace off the first pattern. Watch carefully. So I'm going to fold a new pattern paper, as you can see. So when I fold it, I will place it underneath to trace off the first pattern. So as I'm tracing, as you can see, the half length is not included. I am tracing only the opening of the pocket and that side of the pattern towards the end of the pocket. Remember, I told you can leave the down part of the pocket straight, but it depends on your preference. You can curve it and sew it, or you use your serger to make the curve. So I'm going to cut out the opening of the pocket, as you can see. So that side is sorted out. So as you can see, the half length line is not included. Take note of this. So the next tracing is going to be this way as I am moving. So this will help us to create the pattern piece for the pocket shield. So this is how the second piece is going to be, as you can see. So thirdly, we are going to trace off the yoke, and this is how the yoke is going to look. And lastly, we are going to trace the center front. So this center front is going to be on fold. So if you're going to be making use of lining fabric, so you have to cut like ×2 of what you have as your fashion fabric. So, and finally, this is what you should have. So this yoke part is going to be on fold with your 1/4 inch seam allowance on all the parts of this dress. So make sure you add your seam allowance on all the parts of the dress. This is very, very important. So the center front is going to be on fold. So this is how you're going to flip it and sew. But when we get to the fashion fabric, I'm going to show you how you're going to join this pocket part, because that is the most important aspect of this tutorial. So stay tuned and keep watching. So you're going to have ×2 of this one so that you can place it on the opposite side, while the center front is going to be on fold, as well as the yoke part. So as I have traced the back panel, so I'm going to cut it off. Remember, the back panel, there is no half length and there is no pockets at the back panel. Take note of this. So on this back armhole area, you're gonna exit the tracing of the front armhole, because the back side of the outfit should be, the back side of the shoulder should be a little bit wider than the front. So you can exceed that by just ½ inch and reconnect. So as you can see, there is no half length, we only have the yoke and the princess seam. So take note of this. So for this back side, I supposed to add zipper, but I'm not gonna use a zipper. So there is no zipper allowance, because the down part of this back side is going to be on fold. That is the style. So I'm going to create this opening, as you can see. So I'm going to use my bias strip as a facing towards that upper part. So it's going to be open, and I will use just like a little hook. You can use button and add towards that area, so that you can just use it to hold the neck area. So no zipper, the back is still folded, so but the yoke side is going to be open. So I'm going to cut out this pattern, and as you are cutting, remember to add your seam allowance on all the panels. This is very, very important. Take note of this. And if you wish to have add a sleeve, you can as well do that. So but this one is without sleeve, so take note. Add your seam allowance here, add here, and add towards this part and towards this side as well. Don't forget. So now finally I'm going to transfer all of this on my main fabric, then we proceed with the sewing. So finally, this is what you should have after cutting your fashion fabric. So as you can see, I added a little bit design towards the yoke part. I decided to use another fabric to make it a little bit colorful. So here is the panels, as you can see. So I'm going to remove these patterns and show you how you're going to join it on your machine. For this side panel with the pocket, and the pocket shield. So this is the center unfolded. So I am going to flip it through and run my stitch, as you can see. So this is the part I'm going to run my stitch. After running it, you turn it and give it a good press, and make sure you top stitch on the top part. On the top panel, your top stitching should be on the top panel. Then repeat the same thing on this other side. So for this back panel, this is the center back. And this is the side panel. So you're gonna have ×2 of this side panel. So this is what your back should be looking like after your final cutting. So I'm going to place them the way I'm doing right now, and then run my stitch. So after running your stitch, you can just use your serger to serge it before joining your yoke. So I'm going to flip this yoke part. As you can see the opening, so I'm going to use my bias strip to do the facing for this zip, the opening that I created. So after that, I'm going to top stitch and flip it through and give it a good press before joining it to the down part of the dress. So after joining the front part, this is how it should be looking. As you can see, the top stitch is invisible. It should not be seen on the top of this pocket opening. Hope you can see that. So that's why I said your top stitching should be on this upper panel, upper part. So look at the pocket opening, very neat. So take a look at the other side. Everything well constructed and very clean. So the next thing to do is to hold them firm with your pins, so that as you are joining them, they are not going to shift. So hold them firmly with your pins so the pocket area doesn't shift. So repeat the same thing on the other side. Join it and run your stitch on both sides. So after that, you can serge it. Then lastly, you are going to join the top part, making sure that you place the center where it's supposed to be. Match the center line where they are supposed to be, the center line of the yoke and the center line of the down part. Take note of this so that the sewing will come out perfect. Then after that, you can serge that yoke part as well. So I have joined the back part, and towards the yoke side, as you can see, I have pressed the yoke part, well pressed. So the next thing is to join it to the down part. So after joining it to the down part, this is how you're going to join it. Please ensure to match the yoke part together. There shouldn't be an opening towards the joining part, so it will come out fine and perfect. Then you will run your stitch. After running your stitch, you can serge it if you have a serger. Then finally, this is what I have. So you can see the pocket opening. So you can see the back panel. So you can use a button or you can use a hook, but I'm going to use a hook. So I'm now going to both the back and front panel. So if you find this tutorial helpful, please give me a thumbs up, share with your friends. So after joining it, so I'm going to use these accessories just to brighten up the dress, to design it a little bit. So you choose what you desire to design yours. So the joining should be on the shoulder seam line first. So after joining your shoulder seam line, as you can see, I've joined mine. Then I am going to use the bias strip to run my stitch on the armhole area as my facing. So after that, I will still run my stitch towards the neckline, because you can still remember we have not done the neck area. So finally, I will join the side seam. So I will repeat the same thing on the two armhole. Then lastly, I will join the side seam and still use the bias strip to do the facing for the down part of the hemline of the dress. So that is the end of this tutorial. Please give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, please kindly do so and support this channel. And I hope to see you guys soon. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your time. Bye for now.